There we go. Now Andrea says I can start. We're actually short still a couple of people, so we'll move minutes and any other action items a little further. We just want to, given that Congressman Owens will be with us in about an hour, we want to make sure that we wrap up all of our other business before then. So welcome to Transcom. It's nice to have everyone here, and those online that are online, thank you for joining us. Need to excuse Commissioner Harvey, our vice chair, who's out of town today. And let's start around the room. We'll do introductions and take staff at the end.
Good afternoon, Rosie Hernandez, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Jordan Chandler, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
Dan Dugan, Salt Lake City.
Carlton Christensen with Utah Transit Authority.
Andrea Pearson, WFRC Administrative Staff.
Andrew Gruber, Wasatch Front Regional Council.
And I'm Mark Shepard, Mayor Clearfield.
Wayne Benyon, WFRC staff. Jeff Silverstream, Mayor of Mill Creek.
Rob Daly, Holiday.
Dave Gale, Morgan City.
Raylene Blocker, Morgan County Commission.
Ben Hewitt with UDOT.
Joe Smoke, Immigration.
Andrea Olson, UDOT Planning Division.
Miranda Jones Cox, Government Affairs, WFRC.
Leigh Felder, Director of Legislative Affairs at UDOT.
Fred Jenny, citizen and Rio Grande Plan advocate.
Michael Kroll, citizen and Rio Grande Plan advocate.
Chandler Butler, UTA Government Relations.
Jaron Robertson, Utah Transit Authority.
Ben Withrich, Wasatch Front staff.
Marion Florence, Finance at WFRC.
Ted Knowlton, Deputy Director, WFRC.
There we go. Andrea, who do we have online?
Several people who are attendees, and let's see, and then I'll be promoting a couple more people just a second.
I know we have as we're bringing them in, we have Mayor Harris, Mayor Palmer, Mayor Jepson, and others joining as we go.
Hey, are we up to a quorum yet? Fantastic. Well, then the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our June 19th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and do we have a motion on them?
Chair Jeff Silverstream, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes stand. And I'm going to turn some time real quick over to Andrew just to kind of give a brief discussion or overview of our discussion with Congressman Burgess Owens today.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It is what it sounds like. We have Congressman Burgess Owens, joining us from 3 to 3:30 p.m. today. The reason that he is joining us is to talk specifically about federal transportation issues. Congressman Owens is a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, which is the key policy-making body in the House. So we have been working with the congressman, along with the other members of our delegation, with our partners at UDOT, and UTA, and MAG, et cetera, on federal transportation issues. And he's going to join us. He'll share some thoughts with us, and we can have a little bit of a discussion with him. So we're looking forward to that at 3 p.m.
Should be very good. Well, we've got next item on our agenda to be public comment. Is there anyone here from the public who is here to make comment today? Okay. If you would, we'll give you we've got 2 minutes each. Is that 3 minutes? Excuse me. If you want to come up to the podium and just introduce yourself, and we'll get 3 minutes. Oh, you need to push the button until it goes on. There we go.
My name is Michael Kroll, and I recently moved to Salt Lake City from the Chicagoland area this June and now reside within the 2nd District. Big reason my girlfriend and I chose to move to Salt Lake City was that we wanted to both live in a place that had strong transit and mobility backbones, but also one that we could that could help improve it further. While Salt Lake City has nowhere near the scale or history of the transportation network found in Chicago, it kicks way above its weight class, easily being the smallest city in America with the biggest transit. Still, it faces difficulty connecting both the city to the rest of the state with few intercity travel options and with itself as seen with the east-west divide. Since moving here, I've become increasingly active with the group via Rio Grande and the community-led proposal of the Rio Grande plan to grade separate the current railroad tracks to divide up the second district and give Salt Lake City a downtown transportation hub. Proud of to be proud of in the historic Rio Grande Station. Just from the few events I've attended, I've seen so much support for the proposal, not just in Salt Lake City, but in the suburbs, in the metro area, and even in cities across state lines. This plan is really one that can bring people together near or far by removing the current railroad crossings that literally cut our city in half and linking towns with transportation connections that haven't existed in decades. That's why I was a bit off-put by the Wasatch Front Regional Council would propose a standalone grade separation on Second South as part of the Power District Transportation Study. As stated earlier, I understand the need to bridge the east-west divide, but this proposal is very much a Band-Aid fix for what is a much larger issue that it alone cannot solve. While I do agree it would help drivers and pedestrians cross the tracks and would allow for extension to Utah Transit Authority's Route 2 bus, connection would still be subpar for pedestrians and cyclists, especially those with disabilities, requiring to climb up and down at least 30 feet, and would not only would not open up any land for redevelopment. There's also hinder any support for the Rio Grande plan, which would create a much better east-west connection, not only at Second South, but by removing multiple grade crossings in the area, and would open up so much land for redevelopment, whether that be residential or commercial. Very written Council Member Alejandro Puy, who represents most of the Power District, asking that he votes on the plan, that before he votes on the plan, to think about whether this will truly connect the community split by the east-west divide, or if it will get in the way of an actual solution to this issue. As everyone in this council to do the same, as if we are going to put a large amount of taxpayer money into a project like this, it should be one that solves more problems than just transportation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Frederick Jenny, and I've been a resident in the downtown Salt Lake area for the past 9 years. Over the past year, WFRC has worked with community members, government officials, and partner agencies to build a shared vision of the region's future. I want to recognize that effort and applaud it. There was a lot of work put into the transportation improvement plan, and it definitely is represented in your guys' results. This year, however, there is a significant difference from last year. The citizen proposed Rio Grande plan continues to gain momentum, including receiving a critical preliminary endorsement from Salt Lake County. That specifically mandates WFRC and other agencies like UDOT and UTA consider the Rio Grande plan. That I did, and yet I'm concerned because that was not reflected in the Power District Transportation Plan, the 2026 to 2031 TIP, or the long-term TIP. As the body tasked with regional planning, I hope WFRC will take seriously this responsibility to evaluate a project of this magnitude, especially considering the influence this body has on elected officials who come to it for information and guidance on transportation topics that they may lack experience with. The Rio Grande plan is not just another idea. It offers solutions to long-standing challenges in the state. This would grade separate 8 railroad crossings, reopen several city streets, some of which that have never been open before. And it creates one of the strongest station area plans in the state. These are regional benefits that deserve open and transparent consideration. Many of us have engaged with WFRC, UDOT, and UTA, and we've often been told it is up to governments to guide the process. But when Salt Lake County itself recommends studying the project further, it is discouraging not to see it reflected in WFRC's work. I urge you to move beyond last year's statement that WFRC will continue to work with transportation agencies and stakeholders to appropriately consider the Rio Grande plan. That's a direct quote. A year has passed, momentum has grown, and endorsements have been made. Now is time for WFRC to take the next step and meaningfully incorporate this plan into their long-term transportation process. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there any other public comment? Was there any online, Andrea?
No, there are no hands raised online.
Okay, thank you both. Let's move on then to item number 4, which is our Transportation Improvement Program. Today, we've got 2 items to recommend to the Regional Council for action regarding the Transportation Improvement Program. First, request to modify the existing 2025-2030 TIP, which Ben Withrich will review with us. And then second is the draft 2026-2031 Transportation Improvement Program. And when we get to that, we'll give Ben some time to remind us a bit about how the TIP is developed and review the public involvement efforts and the summary of the public comments. Ben, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So today, as was mentioned by the chair, there are 2 actions concerning the Transportation Improvement Program. And a lot of the introduction that we normally do on the tip, we'll review a lot of that here in just a moment. But to move right into the board modification, in your meeting materials, you should have a copy of the resolution, as well as there are 2 tables that identify the 7 projects that are being requested to amend into the 2025-2030 Transportation Improvement Program. We'll go through each of those projects fairly quickly. If there's any questions, please let me know. So the very first project is a project in the Salt Lake area. This is a request from UTA. This is on the Tech Link or Orange Line, Red Line. A little slow on the response on the button here. This particular project, as all of you are very familiar with the success of the track system through the city, especially the route that goes from downtown up to the University of Utah or the medical center. UTA is in the process of reviewing and updating or improving the system. And they have a proposed plan. Last year, as this proposed plan was presented to the regional council, first come to Transcom, then to the regional council, it was to request funding for the environmental and the design of the Tech Link or the Orange Line, Red Line project. As the regional council reviewed that project, or as Transcom reviewed that project and recommended to the regional council approved $2 million for that project, but for the design and the development of the project, not the environmental portion. The project at the time was estimated to cost $3.8 million, and the funds being requested from WFRC was $2 million, and the council approved that $2 million for the project. Since that time, additional information and preparation for that project is identified now that the cost will be around $6 million. UTA has worked with the Department of Transportation and has made a request and was awarded from the Department of Transportation $4 million in the Transit Transportation Investment Funds, or the TTIF funds. The request before the Transcom and the council today is to request for a proposed scope change to move that $2 million into the environment and project design of the project. That'll enable this project to move forward. Those $2 million will match the TTIF $4 million funds, and that will enable this project to move forward. In addition to the request of the change of scope, it's requested that the funds be brought forward to the federal fiscal year 2026. That'll enable those funds to align up in that project to begin or get underway. The next project that we have before this body is a request from UDOT. This is for a coordinated adaptive ramp metering, or CAMP system. There are 5 locations that have been identified to initiate this project. This is from freeway to freeway ramp meters. As many of you are aware of, a regular ramp meter, or the traditional ramp meters, they manage access to the interstate through a traffic signal at the on-ramps. And each ramp meter uses simple sensors to inform the wait times and determine when a vehicle can enter onto the freeway. The CAMP system is a superpowered system. This system is enhanced significantly. What this does is the CAM's superpower or ability is to communicate with itself across the whole system. So this will utilize numerous vehicle detection sensors at multiple locations. It assesses the condition across the entire corridor and makes real-time changes to the ramp meter waiting times. The objective of this is not only to improve the freeway flow, but also with the ramp times being adjusted across the system, it'll monitor and not affect in a negative manner the local roads that run along I-15. And so just an overall amazing system that'll be implemented by the Department of Transportation. Their ability to do this come from a funding award from Federal Highways on the congestion relief grant. And that was a total of $39+ million. And then UDOT had a required match of 20%, and that was $9.8+ million. So this is a new project to enter into or add to the Transportation Improvement Program. That brings us to the last project on that first table there, and this is a project in the Salt Lake area. This is on Binghamton Highway. It runs from the railroad overpass to the South Jordan Canal. The objectives of this project is to take the old Jersey barriers that are there or precast barriers and replace them with cast-in-place barriers to improve the safety along that facility. This is a new project with new funding at $1.5 million, and the total project cost is estimated to be $1.5 million. These funds come from the Region 2 Transportation Solution Program. That moves us into the second page. This second page, or this next group of projects, are part of the UDOT Transportation Alternative Program. The program includes projects and activities and encompasses a variety of smaller scale transportation projects, such as pedestrian and bicycle facilities, recreational trails, safe routes to school projects, etc. UDOT Region 2 conducted an application process to determine the eligible projects, and it is their request that the 2025-2030 Transportation Improvement Program be amended with these 4 projects. The first project that we have on there is a project in Taylorsville. This is a project on 3200 West between 6175 South to Summit Vista Boulevard. This is to construct missing sidewalk on the west side of this facility. This project is estimated to cost $133,000 plus, with the TAP funds being recommended at $80,000 and local funds being brought to the project at $53,000+. The next project that we have before us is in Murray. This is on Fireclay Avenue between 120 West. And this is across the UTA tracks line, and this is to address pedestrian crossing in this area. This project is estimated to cost $116,000 plus, with $70,000 of TAP funds being recommended and local funding of $46,000 plus. The next project is a project in West Jordan. This is a project on 70th South. This project runs between 2659 West and 2477 West. This is to construct missing sidewalk on the south side of this facility. This project is estimated to cost $340,000 with a recommendation of $204,000 in TAP funds and $136,000 of local funding. Our last project to amend into the tip with this request is a project in Riverton. This is to address ADA ramps, and this is for various locations throughout the city of Riverton. The intent is to construct 9 new ADA ramps with the adjoining sidewalks to look like this in Riverton. The estimated project cost on this project is $243,000 plus. TAPs being recommended are $146,000 with the local funds of 97,000 plus. Mr. Chair, that's all for the board modification.
Thank you, Ben. I'm just surprised to see that there's actually still projects that are under $200,000 and that aren't 2 billion. We're so used to seeing these massive numbers. So it's fun to see something that's only $46,000. Are there any questions for Ben? Yes, Mayor Ramsey.
Thank you. Ben, hey, I'm just wondering on that project, the pedestrian crossing project,
Yes.
over the train track, what is it that they're looking to do there? It's by the track station.
It is. It's actually there. And the details of the project, whether it's to clean up both sides. So on the south side of the project, there is pedestrian crossing. Well, once you cross the road, you have to cross the road again because there's no sidewalk on the south side of the facility. So they have to move to the north. I believe the intent is to address crossing on the north side so that traffic can stay on the north side from the east to the west without crossing the road multiple times.
That's great. Thank you.
Trustee, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, no, well, the one I was just making comment to the project on the orange line and red line alteration. It's been probably 25 years since proposed tracks corridor through what's known now as the Granary District Opportunity Zone, and it's manifested itself. And Congress recently continued that opportunity, but folks have been designing around that corridor, and we've long had a challenge if we have an issue on our Main Street lines because of all of our tracks lines going through there. So it provides an alternate way through the downtown area. And then of course, between the university and then ultimately a better service to the airport, it would, take advantage of existing infrastructure and really would augment the system for those who want to get to the airport and go to downtown. So anyway, there's a lot of long-term benefit that we've waited for a while for.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other discussion? If not, then I'd entertain a motion to recommend to the Regional Council approval of the resolution to modify the 2025-2030 Transportation Improvement Program as requested.
Mr. Chair, Jeff Silverstone, I move to approve the board modifications to the 2025-2030 TIP as presented.
We need to send it to the Regional Council for approval.
Yeah, I mean, recommendation.
Okay.
Sorry.
Second.
We have a motion in a couple of seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and speaking of Mayor Ramsey, who walked in after our introductions, welcome to Mayor Ramsey and our WFRC Chair.
Thank you. I did not vote. I'm not a voting member of this, but but thanks for letting me ask that question, and I appreciate the clarification. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Also had Mayor Hall join us. Welcome. You want to just introduce yourself?
Sure, Mayor Howell, Bluffdale City, and we're in Salt Lake County and a little bit of Utah County.
Excellent. Andrew, who else has joined us online?
I saw Mayor Bingham and Mayor Wickers and Trustee Holbrook from UTA joined after introductions. I don't know that I've missed anybody, but if I did, I apologize. Nicole Bordeaux from UTA and Kendall Draney from UDOT as well.
Excellent. Okay, Ben, let's go back to you for 2026-2031.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So now we have, this is kind of a slow burn right here, but this is a big deal. This is a hot item here, and this is our item 4B. In this particular item, we will take action or recommend to the council approval of the 2026-2031 Transportation Improvement Program and the corresponding air quality conformity finding. So it's a big deal for the 2026-2031 TIP. Without your review and approval, it wouldn't go anywhere. And so this is a big deal. As an introduction to the Transportation Improvement Program, especially for the 26-31 TIP, it's a 6-year program, as we're well aware, of highway transit and active transportation projects. The first 4 years, we refer to those as funded years. And in the out 2 years, we refer to those as concept development years, though we program funds in all 6 years. It covers the urban areas of the Salt Lake area, which goes from Utah County up to Davis County. And in the Ogden-Layton area goes from Salt Lake all the way up through Brigham City. It's funded with federal, state, and local programs, and it's for all of the cities, the counties, WFRC, and UTA. Andrew?
Ben, you're probably about to do this, but can you explain the participation or why we're not reflecting in the tip Morgan and Tooele, that Morgan and Tooele County areas are definitely reflected in transportation plans and programs, but not in our tip? Can you just talk about that?
Thank you, Andrew. And the biggest portion of that is on the urban funds, or the funds that we have responsibility to program. Both Morgan and Tooele are outside of the urban boundaries. And so a lot of the funds, and we do have those projects reflected in the TIP document, but those programs for those for those areas are programmed through the Department of Transportation, through the Joint Highways, and other resources that are available through the department. Is that?
Thank you, Ben. I just want to make sure that there's an understanding, because we love our friends in Morgan and Tooele, and we love working with UDOT to help those areas, but because they're not part of our metropolitan planning area, sometimes they are reflected differently. So I just wanted to highlight that. If you want to know more about Tooele, you can join Wayne at the Tooele COG meeting tonight, right?
Thank you, Andrew. And yes, we do greatly appreciate all of the counties, Morgan and Tooele included. Also, the Transportation Improvement Program will implement the long-range plans for our highway, our transit, and our active transportation projects. That helps us meet the short-range needs along the Wasatch Front and provides for the maintenance of our existing system. I know a lot of this is reviewed, but it's essential that we understand how much the TIP is involved or is kind of centered to the work that we are involved in. It lists all of the projects of new construction. Well, it's a list of funded projects. It's not, but it's new construction, the rehab and maintenance, the safety and intelligent transportation system, that's ITS, transit, operating and maintenance, and pedestrian and bicycle type projects. I bolded this. I don't know if you noticed that one there, just to highlight there, but I bolded those there just to kind of flash it out that the TIP represents hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a lot of money that's invested. It's thousands of jobs along the Wasatch Front and throughout the state, economic growth and development, the mobility and access, the preservation of life, and promotes the quality of life we're accustomed to. By federal law, the Transportation Improvement Program must be financially constrained. So those first 4 years of the transportation program that we refer to as funded years need to be financially constrained. They cannot exceed those amount of funds that we anticipate. The TIP needs to conform to the air quality analysis. It needs to be reviewed by the public and approved by the regional council. So we prepared the documents that we brought before you before. We've got the tables of projects that are specific to the Wasatch Front Regional Council. We've got the table of projects that are identified with state and other federal funds. And then we've got the table of projects that are identified, those projects that are under the Federal Transit Administration or federal transit funds. And then, of course, the conformity finding there, all of these projects in the TIP conform. So as you'll recall, we reviewed this, but back in the month of May, we went and took this information to our technical advisory committees, which are made up of the city engineers, public works, and other city personnel. We reviewed the information. That information was prepared, and we brought that to this body on the 19th of June for your review and for your recommendation that we go out for public review and comment. That initiated on the 28th of June and concluded on the 2nd of August. During that time, we had 3 open houses. We had one in South Jordan. Thank you, Mayor. That was amazing to be out there. We had one in the Ogden area. Again, it was wonderful to be in that location. And then we had one online as recommended by Trustee Christensen. very successful opportunities to be out with the public and to be addressing or discussing the projects. We then took this information back to our technical advisory committees back on the 6th of August, reviewed with them, and they recommended that we bring this information now forward to Transcom for your review and recommendation to the regional council for approval. So the intent is to receive your direction or recommendation. The council meets a week from today on the 28th. Then we will prepare that material and it will be submitted with UDOT and the other 3 MPOs of the state together in the statewide transportation improvement program for the review of from Federal Highways and Federal Transit for approval. They get the whole month of September, which is a lot of time, but not enough time to do all that they need to do. But they get that time to review this information with the anticipation that come October 1, we have a brand new transportation improvement program. We have the transportation improvement program 2026, 2031. Somehow we're going to make this one really pop for this year, but this is where we are. But at the end of this month, we also have the opportunity to initiate the process as the council will direct that we solicit for letters of intent for the 2027-2032 TIP process, and we begin all over. So when we went out for public review, we pushed people to the website, we brought them to the TIP section, we proposed or we presented to them the interactive map. We had all these opportunities, present them with information, and we got comments, and those comments are included in your meeting materials. There's a summary of that, and maybe just to address a couple items on the summary. Many of the requests were made for additional safe bicycle infrastructure, as well as to safety accommodated bike and ped facilities in several specific roadway projects. A number of the comments expressed support for transit and active transportation projects, such as front runner strategic double tracking. Requests were made for more transit service and improvements to existing service. Number of commenters expressed opposition to road projects in Immigration Canyon. Many comments were made in support of the citizen proposed Rio Grande plan to take railroad lines underground in the downtown Salt Lake area, and several requests were made for the specific roadway operational improvements. A lot of comments were received. There were actually over 400 comments. And a summary of those comments or a list of the comments are also included in your meeting materials. There was over 332 project-specific comments received through the interactive map. There was 66 comments received via the general form with the interactive map. There were 12 written comments received at the open houses, and there was other by means of just communication or talking with people on at the open houses or over the phone. All of that information was received. So what do we do with it? Well, when we receive the public comments, we document them. We have that information. We present and discuss it at project management meetings. We have pavement management meetings, roadway management meetings with the departments. We have opportunities to meet with UTA, but we talk the comments with the other partners that are in this, and any appropriate improvements are implemented into the project. And I got just a couple of small, quick projects where public comment made a difference. For example, in Tooele, this is PIN number 18296. This project has since been completed. Didn't mean to go that fast. Thank you, Andrew. But in design and due to public comment, the project added a barrier down the median from Niles Junction to Sunset Lane to eliminate crossover crashes and improve safety. And that was brought on from public comment. Another one here in Salt Lake County, as you're aware, the multiple interchanges on Bangerter Highway. Public input has been part of all of the intersections to interchange projects along the Bangerter Highway, but uniquely to 4700 South, 9800 South, and 134th South. Interchanges in that via the public comment, these three interchanges have the underchange option and other roadway improvements to that project. That project was over 273 million. Maybe one that has been completed and open now running is a project on Redwood Road at 6200 South to I-215. This project added a northbound lane, installed a partial CFI to the south leg of 6200 South for the northbound traffic and adding dual on-ramp and ramp metering to the eastbound and westbound I-215 due to the comment and input from the public and business during design on signal improvements, raised medians, starting and stopping, and other roadway improvements. Another project that was over 17 million. There are a lot of projects that are impacted by the input from our public. Many of them are improved. A lot of them save money or get us a product that bring either greater benefits or more safety, and are a vital part of the whole process. Anyway, that is the presentation of the draft 2026-2031 Transportation Improvement Program for your recommendation. Andrew.
Ben, Mr. Chair, may I add two brief things? One, Ben, I really appreciate the fact that you explained to Transcom how public comment is used. And I want to give you another example of this. Ben said sometimes we get public comments that are aimed at the tip, which actually may have relevance in the regional transportation plan process, in the work that UTA does, and the work that UDOT does, and other studies that are underway. And as Ben noted, we always work then to share the comments. We don't just take them in and say, you know, wrong door, and we ignore it. We always will communicate those comments. And the significant number of comments that we received on the Rio Grande plan through our process, including, and we appreciate Frederick and all the folks that participate in our processes, that's a great example because those comments that we receive on the tip also will help shape and inform the development of the regional transportation plan. And as you all remember, the basic flow that we typically utilize is for major projects, they start in the regional transportation plan. That's where they are first considered. And then they are considered to move into the funded portion of our programs, and that's the tip. So even if a comment comes in for the tip, it can help inform our process in the regional transportation plan. Furthermore, that's another example of a situation where there's a further study that's happening, not just right in the Rio Grande area, but in the broader area through the so-called We Connect, West-East Connect. Councilman Dugan is obviously very familiar with this in Salt Lake City for east-west connections. And the comments that we receive that may be relevant to that area can also help inform the work on that We Connect study. So there's no wrong door for input that we receive, and we can use it in a variety of settings. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, because I was going to try to explain that, and I'm so glad you jumped in, because I would have made a mess out of that and had to turn to you for help anyway, so thank you.
You probably would have done it more succinctly than I did, though.
Andrew, I appreciate your explanation on that as well, so these gentlemen understand that we're hearing them. We just have to go through the process, and the funding is a huge lift with respect to that project, but it is a visionary project, and it's going to take some time to work through that and figure out how it might even be able to be done. So,
excellent. Thank you, Ben. Do we have any other comments? Okay, if not, then we need a motion to recommend that the Regional Council approve the resolution adopting 2026-2031 Transportation Improvement Program and the corresponding air quality conformity analysis.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comment?
I just want to know if Ben used the 400 public comments for bedtime stories with his children.
Actually, that's why the grandkids are always wanting to come over. They want another story.
If you hold a teddy bear with it while you read it, it's wonderful. They just never know the difference.
Magic.
All right, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is discussion on the WFRC funding and technical assistance opportunities for local governments. And I'm going to turn the time over to Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With apologies to those of you who this might be the second time you've heard this or who will perhaps hear it again. We do want to, as you're aware, we administer and assist with multiple funding programs. And with the application cycle, as Ben alluded to, with the application cycle coming up, we want to make you aware or give you a reminder about these funding programs. There's three types of programs: capital improvement programs, planning assistance, and other federal grants. And I'll just run through these briefly and conclude with a timeline and contact information for the program leads. So here are the capital programs. Surface Transportation Program provides funding that may be used on federal aid eligible roads, transit capital improvements, and active transportation improvements. The Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Program provides funding for transportation projects that improve air quality. The Carbon Reduction Program similarly provides funding for reducing on-road vehicle emissions. And the Transportation Alternatives Program funds construction and planning of bicycle and pedestrian facilities. Ben is the program lead for these four programs. The first planning assistance program is the Transportation and Land Use Connection Program. And I should mention on the first four capital improvement programs, there are similar programs administered by UDOT for areas outside of the Salt Lake, Davis, eastern or western Weber counties and southern Box Elder counties. So Tooele and Morgan have opportunity, as was alluded to or mentioned earlier, to apply to UDOT for similar funding programs as the STP, CMAQ, CRP, and TAP. So on the planning assistance programs are available across the whole, all 5.5 counties, 5+ Anyway, the Transportation and Land Use Connection Program supports local governments with technical assistance to integrate land use planning and regional transportation, with a focus on implementing the Wasatch Choice Vision. The TLC program is a partnership with Salt Lake County, UDOT, and UTA, and so it's really a joint effort among all four of those, along with WFRC, is really a joint effort. And then the second planning assistance program is the Station Area Plan Technical Assistance, which is available to help cities accomplish the requirements found in House Bill 462, Station Area Planning Requirements. And Meg Padgen in our office is the program lead for both of these. And then the Community Development Block Grant Program focuses on providing funding for low and moderate income communities and funds primarily infrastructure, capital infrastructure projects. There will be a how to apply workshop in October. The date has not and time has not been set yet, but can watch for that in particular. And so WFRC administers this program for Morgan, Tooele, and Weber counties. Ogden City administers its own CDBG funds, as do Salt Lake County and Davis County. The Community Impact Board, moving to the next one. The Community Impact Board is both a grant and loan program, and that's also available in Morgan and Tooele counties. and it's primarily for capital infrastructure projects as well. Christy Dahlberg is the program lead for both CDBG and CIB. And then lastly, the Wasatch Front Economic Development District is a federally recognized entity to foster regional economic development and assists eligible entities in developing competitive grant applications for the U.S. Economic Development Administration. Marsha White is the program lead for the WFEDD. And also, as been alluded to, the 4 capital programs and TLC have a similar application cycle. So early next month, you'll receive a request for letters of intent. After we receive those at the end of September, we'll screen the eligibility, and then we'll request that the submitting entity submit an application, or then for eligible projects, applications will be due in early December, which allows for evaluation of project applications over the winter and then recommendation of projects in the spring. And with that, here's contact information for the 4 program leads that I mentioned. And when that funding announcement comes out early September, you'll get a funding programs packet with a 1-pager on each of these programs. And if you're not sure which program to apply for, just submit a letter of intent and we'll get it to the right program, or feel free to chat with any of the program leads about what program might be suitable. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Please.
So can I apply that to individuals? Because I fit all those qualifications with my bicycle. Can I apply for me?
I believe you have to be a local government to apply for the.
All right, so I'll let West Jordan do that then. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. So we've invited Andrea Olson from UDOT, UDOT's Planning Director, to talk to us a bit about the Transportation Investment Fund, or the TIF. And it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go quickly. I know there's another agenda item before other important things happening this afternoon. So I just want to give you a quick reminder and update on UDOT's Transportation Investment Fund and Transit Transportation Investment Fund, so TIF and TTIF. As a reminder, we fund the Transportation Commission funds 4 different project types through those programs. There's highway, transit, active transportation, and then first last mile projects, which are active transportation projects that make a direct connection to a transit stop or station. Jordan has navigated to our website. It's projectprioritization.udot.utah.gov. There's a wealth of information here. One of the most visited places is that ranked lists tab on the top, and there you can see the current ranked lists for those 4 project types. So one of the things I like to talk about is, how do projects get on those ranked lists? For highway and for transit, any eligible project, so it's got to be a capacity project, but any eligible project that is in phase 1, fiscally constrained phase 1 of your entity's regional transportation plan or long-range transportation plan, is automatically included on that ranked list. So it's got to be in the first 10 years, it's got to be fiscally constrained, and it's got to meet the eligibility requirements. So capacity, highway projects on a state route, things like that. The other way to get on these lists, though, is to provide a nomination. By state statute, local governments and transit districts have the ability to nominate projects. And when an eligible project is nominated, we then score that project, rank that project, and then it gets included on those ranked lists. In the past, that nomination has been a window. It's been a limited amount of time. It's usually been 2 to 3 months. where we accept those nominations. A change that the Transportation Commission recently made is that there's no window anymore, and a local government or a transit district can nominate a project at any time. If you go to if you want to nominate any of these 4 project types, if you click on those icons, it will take you to a nomination form. The one thing, though, that we are doing is requiring a more detailed cost estimate for the project that you nominate. So we just are trying to get projects that are a little bit more shovel ready to recommend to the commission for funding. So that's the intent behind getting more detailed cost estimates as part of this process. But hopefully you've all received information. We sent out this information through the League of Cities and Towns, through the MPOs, the AOGs, the Utah Association of Counties. So hopefully local governments received, I hope that you received it multiple times, honestly.
And Andrea, we have sent that information out to all of our members, and the league and the UAC have sent it out as well. But if anybody wants it again, just let us know. We're happy to share it again.
Great, yes, thank you. We rely on our partners a lot to help get that word out. And just one last thing there. So there are obviously projects that are already on those ranked lists that haven't necessarily given us those detailed cost estimates. Those projects do not have to be renominated. They can stay on the list. I am right now in the process of sending emails out to those project sponsors saying that we are going to work to get a cost estimate, a more detailed cost estimate from them by the end of the calendar year. So we're looking to get those by the end of December. We have a template for them to use, but they don't have to renominate those projects, but we will be looking for updated cost estimates. Yeah.
I just have a question. I'm new to this, but I'm from Morgan County. So could we nominate our interchange off of I-84 that we've been trying to get with UDOT, or is that out of this?
So you can, highway projects, you can nominate a highway project. What we really encourage you to do is to work with your planning agency. So for Morgan County, that would be UDOT. We have the long-range planning responsibility in the areas outside of the MPOs. And to work with us, we're going to be starting a long-range planning process here in the next few months, actually, to make sure that they show on our long-range plans as the priorities, you know, in the kind of the priority order that we want them to be. But you can nominate them, you know, the kind of having them in that first phase is the more sure route, I guess, because they'll automatically be on that list.
Excellent.
I have a question.
Thank
if I
you.
may.
Can we hold that until after? We got to get through one
Yes.
more item, or I can let you grab her outside.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because we need to get through one more item before we, and we'll have Wayne do it briefly before we move to our item with Congressman Owens.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So each year, WFRC and UDOT and UTA work together to prepare what's called a certification or self-certification. And it's a copy of this is in the meeting materials. And it simply outlines how all 3 of the agencies are working together to comply with federal requirements. This year, notably, or every 4 years, and this year is, we're falling on the 4th year. We've got an extra review, but even in this year, we still have to self-certify. So we're looking for a motion to recommend to the council to approve this self-certification that's in your meeting materials.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Wayne. We will pass that on.
Thank you.
We don't get much closer to getting on time than that. So, way to go, folks. We will, he was just waiting for a thumbs up. So what's that? I know it. Wayne went ultra fast in that description. I didn't think that could be done. Welcome, Congressman. It's a privilege for us to have Congressman Owens with us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your unbelievably busy schedule while you're here in district to make this work. We know you've got a lot going on. Did he ride his bike? Congressman Owens got a key role on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and we appreciate your service on that committee and the time you put into that. And obviously, our focus here is investing in transportation. It's key to Utah's future. And Andrew, you want to give us a little background on our federal transportation reauthorization?
Thank you very much, Chair Shepard. And again, Congressman Owens, we're very, very happy to have you here. We're also happy to have Alex and Casey from your team. Congressman Owens has a terrific staff team that we work with all the time. So to all of you, we really welcome your being here. Congressman, before you came into our meeting, we shared and reminded everybody of the really critical role that you play in Congress on a whole variety of issues, but in particular for this group on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And as we look ahead to the expiration next year, September of 2026, of the Surface Transportation Authorization legislation. That's the big bill that's passed roughly every 5 years that establishes the policy for transportation and also the funding for transportation. And the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, or TNI, is the committee in the House that has the jurisdiction for writing that bill. So it's incredibly important. We've had the pleasure of working with the congressman from the moment he was in Congress, and particularly now that he's on TNI. And we're going to turn to you in just a moment, Congressman, of course, to share your thoughts. I'll just note for everybody's perspective, Utah is one of the fastest growing states in the nation. You all know this. And so investing in infrastructure is so important for us. And we are nationally recognized, and the congressman sometimes brags about this, and we love it. We're nationally recognized for our collaborative planning process. And we've all come together and we've identified priorities for the next surface transportation reauthorization. We've worked through those with the congressman and his team, and he's submitted those officially to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, which is really wonderful. And I'll just give you an example. The planning funding, metropolitan planning funding that we get from the federal government through that bill that I mentioned that enables us to do all of this work. That's one of the key priorities. And then earlier in the meeting, Congressman, we were running through the funding opportunities that flow through our agencies to the local governments, to the cities and counties to do important transportation projects. And that's largely from the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. That's just another example of a key priority that Utah stakeholders have identified as we go forward. So the partnership that we have, I always feel like it's Team Utah, working with Congressman Owens, Congressman Kennedy, who's also on TNI, and other members of the delegation. So we're just really fortunate to have this partnership. And so if it's okay, Mr. Chair, we'll just turn to the congressman and invite you to share thoughts, and then we might have a few questions for you, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Congressman. Thank you. Floor is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you guys. As I was coming in, I didn't know exactly who's going to be here, but I turned the corner and see all these friendly faces, and I really appreciate again the friendships we've had. I'll say this, and I say it all the time. The first word that comes out of my mouth when I talk with Utah is how well we collaborate, and this is an example of how that works out. We all have people we want to represent, but we come together to figure out how can we make sure that Utah remains the most attractive state in the union. And yes, we collaborate well with the fast growing state in the union. We want to keep our kids close. So it means we are working hard to make sure not only can afford to be here, but they have a place to buy one day and stay. By the way, I have skin in the game. I have 6 kids and 17 grandkids, so I totally get it. And I'll say this. It happens because of the leadership we have in this room. It's something about the Utah culture, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's something about our culture that's hard to replicate. We have that innovative mindset. We think outside the box. We want to make sure that the values that we have always been grown up with, we want to hold on to. So that being said, the first term, I was on education workforce, which is my real passion. And we're doing some remarkable things in that area, bringing innovation to that area. Because not only do we want to make sure that we educate our kids, but we prepare them for the work we need to do here as we continue to grow, prepare for the inland port, prepare for the Olympics, prepare for finding a way that our kids can again stay here. So that was always important. And we really took some time as we got to the second term of what else would be truly impactful for Utah. What could I do the time I'm in Congress to make sure that the legacy is everything I just mentioned, and transportation infrastructure was it. I should have also mentioned not only the fastest growing, but we're also the happiest state in the union. So to add that to everything else I just mentioned. So what I'm going to do, I just thought I have a list of things that we're delivering on a one big beautiful bill. I'll say this, guys, this is an experience that I have not had in a long time. I said the last time I felt this way about a team, about a culture, was back when the Raiders used to win all the time, when Al Davis had that culture. And I'll say it in this way. For those who can still remember, if you're young enough to remember, what made that team so unique were the personalities, the crazy guys that he brought together, giving many of them second chances because they've already blown the first one. And but the key was once they came to that team, everybody did their job. Everybody realized that we had a coach, we had an owner who expected us to win. And so we put aside some of our differences to make that happen. And it was an amazing thing for me to feel it, to see how it felt, to have all these crazy guys around me. But boy, we got on the field and we were high-fiving, we were all on the same team. That's what's happening in DC right now. We have a window of time in which we have done some remarkable things in the short period of time we've been there to get some of the continued resolution, the budget resolution. We only have 3-vote margin. To do that with a culture that is really all over the place all the time, that we could not seem to keep from blowing ourselves up previously, it is a miracle. And the one big beautiful bill, as this begins to roll its way out, the most important thing, I believe, is that we're feeling what it is to have momentum. So the things we're going to end up doing that's impactful here, this service transportation, we have momentum now that we begin to realize what it is to kind of work together, be strategic, to give up a little bit so that things like this can really go through and we can benefit the rest of our country. So I want to say that I have a few things that I just wanted to highlight. And I know Mike came in before, so he probably went through some of this already. But my goal very simply, and you mentioned before, we have a remarkable team. We just brought on Nick, who's also now on transportation infrastructure. That's his focus. If you have not met him yet, you will. He's a great addition to our team. He just was just out here last week. But just know that our goal very simply is to hear what the needs are and to do everything we can to address them. Okay, so we cut billions of dollars out of the Green New Deal waste. We secured $12.5 billion to modernize our air traffic control, which obviously our airport will benefit from this. Getting rid of FAA's 30-year copper wire system, which is crazy to think that we had that, but that's what was going on, and we're going to make sure we continue to lead in that area. The biggest thing is that, and if you haven't yet been in the environment of some of the folks that's coming out, we had the Secretary of EPA, Lee Selden, come out, and it's just one of the few that made it out this way. They're coming out to really understand, again, what we're doing out this way. And the bottom line is they're looking at getting rid of as many rules and regulations as possible. We understand what it is to be entrepreneurial and just want to cut to the chase and get things accomplished and not take forever to get it done. Well, we have a window of time where the administration is going to work with us to get that done. So for those of us in this room that really we see the vision, we want our road to be predictable. So we can, if there's issues to deal with, we can work that out. Well, we're going to start working through that process. We've had over 30 hearings and passed 27 bills to prep ourselves for the reauthorization. So that is on its way. We passed some major FEMA reforms in which we're looking at getting the money, the focus, and the power back to the states, back to local, which is very, very exciting with that. Obviously, my thought has always been, we're going to grow, we can't stop it. This is the way it's going to be. So how do we smartly push our growth further south? How can we do that? We're having those kind of conversations, and obviously infrastructure will be big for us. I'll tell you what, personally, I think the next time we talk about federal lands, we need to be smart, make sure we're educating people, make sure people realize we're not trying to buy Yellowstone Park, and talk about the fact that Utah has maybe different needs than Wyoming. 65% of our lands are taken by federal. We can't control the wildfires. We can't, I mean, I'm speaking to the choir, so you know what I'm talking about. But we have to be smart to make sure that we now, as we move forward in this next process of getting that type of legislation in place, to educate what Utah's needs are and maybe make it such that everybody doesn't have the same issues, the same demands. Wyoming has a different demand, so they should be allowed to craft themselves in a different way. For sure, we know how to handle our lands. We know how to grow our cities, to keep our kids, and that's a big part of the conversation. I'm very, very excited about what I'm seeing with the rail lines, and of course, we're looking at developing the infrastructure we need for our inland port. My ask has been very simply for both the chairman of the Transportation Infrastructure and Education Workforce. Let us be the example. Let's be the model. We're gonna have to get it done. We're a state that's really trying to grow in a smart way. If you allow us to be that model, give us the funding to build our inland port, to be that hubway here in the West, and then we can show everybody how to do it under budget, on time, collaboratively, and with innovation. We can show them how to do that. And so we're working hard to make that happen. One last thing that I just want to point to. We now understand the importance of controlling our own supply chain. I think what COVID did a lot of positive things. We get through all the crazy stuff we had to go through and the pain we had to go through. But one of it is we have to make sure we are controlling our supply chain, that we are producing goods that's going to actually help our country stay safe and secure. Utah is at the very center of that. I tell you guys, I am so impressed. I'm 11-year Utahn, so I'm still learning how much we have to offer to the rest of the country. But visiting our oil fields, visiting our uranium fields, visiting you go through the process of things we can do. All we need to have is a space to let us be who we are, be innovative. So I think that's going to be happening. Let me see here. Transport Jobs Act passed out of committee, connecting veterans to careers in freight, truck, and logistics. One last thing before I kind of open this up. Again, I mentioned how education is truly, we can do everything else right. We can secure the border, bring down inflation, even get jobs going. But if we do not train and teach our kids what we have hold of, and that they can also enter the middle class, we lose it all. One of the things we're doing on the workforce side is something I'm very, very excited about. It's called LERs, Learning and Employment Records. And it's something that that President Trump has started off in his first term. It got a lot of stakeholders involved with it, corporate, folks who understood, again, how to put the applications and how to put all it together. And I guess let me tell you how I kind of explain it, because it's important that we recognize we have a chance now to have our kids have so many more opportunities and understand it earlier than we ever had before us. We had a visit by Nick Saban back my first term. He was there to talk about sports, but he made an analogy that I've tied into what we can do here, and Utah can lead in, because what we're doing with our workforce and our education. He says, at University of Alabama, for those who know, he's one of the best ever, University of Alabama. He says, we can identify a young man in 7th grade, and by the time he gets to 11th grade, we're offering him a scholarship. Now, how does that happen? Well, that young man is aware of what Alabama has to offer him, whether it be the culture, whether it be the colors, whether it be maybe a pathway to the NFL. Alabama's also identified this young man with the skill set and the potential he has. They want to make sure that they can keep him on track to make sure that it's a win-win. So they continue, based on the skill set, to give him the information he needs to be self-disciplined, to study, to give him that career mapping that he needs to get to them. And by the 11th grade, it's all done. What if we were able to get our 6th and 7th graders on this track? What if we were able to use AI to be able to identify passions and desires and talents? And of course, as this record happens, also the skill set, whether it be a certification, whether it be degrees, whether it be just work skills, that this can be brought in place. And again, it's interoperable. So if I can explain this way, you see an interstate highway from the east to the west, and every state it goes through, there's a way of entering and getting off, entree and getting off. They can bring their data, whatever that data might be, and because it's interoperable, all of a sudden, while they're on this interstate, we can all communicate with each other. These are the kind of things we're now working on, and I just had a chance to talk with a group that put together a briefing. We just had an interview, a Zoom call today, and they're on track right now. They've gotten the okay from the administration to move forward with it. So I'm just saying that even when it comes down to transportation infrastructure, the goal is to get the talent from our colleges and those who have a true desire to get into these industries. And it could be being a truck driver. It could be anything that they see themselves as driving, leading their careers, but having them to have a chance to see as we grow our economy that they can be part of it. So that's something also happening. Is going to kind of be a connection between education and workforce and our transportation infrastructure. So let's do this. Let's see if there's any questions. I think that might be the best way maybe to kind of go through. Yes, Mayor. By the way, did you ride your bike or no?
I did ride my bike.
Got to ask him. That's my first question I always ask the mayor. So anyway.
So I have a question and a statement. The first question is, where is your office located? Where is your office located?
West Jordan.
Your office?
Yes.
Where is it?
West Jordan.
Say that again. Thank you for
That's
being
the
West
first
Jordan.
question the mayor always asks me is I have to talk about his bike. Okay.
My statement is, thank you for bringing our monies back to us to help us out. It's been really good. Your help on 13th West in West Jordan has been really, really helpful. And your help over on the Big Bend project over on the Jordan River has also been helpful. So thank you for what you're doing for us.
Yes, sure.
Thanks for taking care of us locally.
Thanks so much. I'll say this, guys. I love and I've seen this over the last 3 terms. We're becoming a more and more America First Congress than ever before. And that's because we, the people, have been sending the right kind of folks to DC. I've never seen a time when we're really understanding we have to turn our time and energy and money back to the people that sent us here. So with what we're talking about, community projects, community funding projects, they're good. And those, I think everybody knows what that looks like. It makes sense. You have needs, and we should be there to support and fight for those needs. And of course, it makes our district even so much better. So thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Mayor Ramsey.
Well, Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming. We always appreciate you coming and look forward to August when we get to have our members of our delegation have a little bit more time back at home that we can talk about these things here. Thank you for being here. Hey, it is no surprise to anyone that Utah has been one of the fastest growing states in the nation for so long, right? This has been happening for a long time. And you're probably going to know what my question is because you've heard it before, but I'm wondering what we can do or to ensure that when discretionary grant funding is considered, especially for transit, if there is a way that we can ensure that fast growth is part of that consideration. It hasn't been, but those of us here in Utah especially, but I think across the West, this isn't just a Utah, it's a very key Utah issue, but I think across the West, I think there's a lot of other parts of the country that would benefit from that as well. And having our fast growth be considered, is there anything we can do to try to make
Well,
that
I'll say
happen?
this. First of all, to the points made earlier, I have a remarkable team. And Devin back in DC, my legislative director, it leads that piece of it. We have a good voice. We have guys that truly understand. We have a team that truly understands the needs here. And the point I was making earlier about having conversations with both the chairman of the education workforce and with T&I is to point out how well we're doing, that we are the fastest growing state, we're the most innovative state, the most collaborative state. I mean, I can go through a listing of things. The fact that we can anchor all that with an inland port, truly innovative, with all the different markets and enterprises we have, that we can now become the hub of the West. And of course, this airport. And then, of course, the major anchor is the Olympics. So with that messaging, the key is we should be the model. We should be the place when people show up. We can show how the rest of the country can be and will be if they follow our model. So that is kind of how we're leading. Right now, I'm in the process of, with that in mind, putting together a presentation for the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. And then we're going to socialize that to talk about the inland port, to talk about the things we're doing here and why we need to have the funding to make sure we can support that. So we're being as innovative as we can. For those who had a chance to see the little less than a minute video on the Education Choice for Children's Act, by the way, that was, to get that in, it was just remarkable. It is, I'm so excited about what it's going to do for the rest of the country. But that's the kind of innovation we're losing to try to figure out a way to get people's attention quickly, to highlight the things that really make a difference, and then we can socialize it further because it makes sense. So just know, keep us tuned in with the needs, and we'll make sure we translate that and really fight hard to make sure we're at the very front of the line. Okay, thanks, Don. Appreciate it.
Congressman, we talked a little earlier about the transportation reauthorization and how crucial that is to Utah and our partnerships and our predictability with where we're going. But Congress doesn't have a really good track record of getting reauthorizations approved timely. How do we get to that point? How do we get timely reauthorization?
Okay, you're right. And that was kind of to the point I made earlier. We've had a way that we've kind of worked through things in the past. Even when we seem like we're winning, we'll find a way to blow ourselves up if we can, which has been always the case. The way to get this and other things we need to get through, I call it momentum, number one. And the more we can trust in our president to follow his lead and the leadership, the relationship he has with both our speaker and with the Senate, it's quite an interesting thing. We always have had outliers. We always had folks that we said, this is the strategy, this is the play, we're going to do it this way, and everybody leaves here, and then find out later they want to do a Hail Mary, and that doesn't matter. I'm going to do a Hail Mary no matter what you want to do. So it's very frustrating to be inside that and seeing it and knowing what we can accomplish. And I'll say we're at a different place now. Now, what does that look like? How are we going to get it done? I'm trusting the leaders of these committees to come with it, but we're getting in this mindset of momentum, which is very, very powerful thing to see. So I'm hoping it's going to continue to roll out with the success that President Trump is having and all the different things he's doing. It's kind of making it very clear that we have something going. And I'm hoping this is also other thing. It's a two-party system. I'd love to have, with our momentum, our success, that the other side says, you know what, I think we might want to go with this one because I want to be back next year. So I'm gonna vote support this America First agenda. And if we can start getting the other side with us, we can get even more accomplished. And meanwhile, we have to make sure we just keep this small band very tight and message that let's just follow a leader and just trust it and see how we can put it through. A long answer to a short question. Sorry about that.
Thank you, though.
Mayor, Councilmember Lori Stringham from Salt Lake County has a question that she asked us to turn to her to ask. She's online.
Yeah, let's do that. I think we got time for one more after that, so we'll hit Mayor Silvestrini.
Okay.
Councilmember Stringham. There we go.
There we go. Hey, how?
Good seeing you.
Oops. There we go.
Okay.
I'm trying to get myself unmute. Hey, I was just wondering if you're supporting the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act, which is going on, set up to protect our rail lines and the train cargo and stuff that will come through Salt Lake City. And if you're involved in that, and I know it's a bipartisan bill, but are you aware and are you supporting that?
I have not dug into that one deeply yet. It sounds like something I would be for. I just need to, matter of fact, this is what I'll do is I'll take this back to Devin, have him take a look at it. And what I normally do, just so you know how we work in DC, when we're back there every week, the first thing I do the first day I get in is we have we pull our team together to talk about what's going to be happening for that week, what the issues are, and what I need to make sure I'm understanding so we make those votes. So I'll make sure, if you can have Casey just write down what it is, and I'll make sure I reach out to Devin to see what that looks like, and so make sure I can support it.
And just so you know, the Salt Lake, we were asked by our railroad partners here in Salt Lake County to actually run a resolution in support of that, and that did pass our council. So I'll
Okay.
get you a copy of that as well. But just be aware that there's a lot going on with that. We need to protect that, especially with that inland port.
So has it gotten to our conference yet? Is someone in DC that's kind of an advocate for it or pushing it at this point? Or
There's several, and I can get that to your office if that's
Okay.
helpful.
that would be very helpful. Once you do that, we'll
Okay.
take a good look at it. Okay.
Thank you.
Strini.
Thank you. Congressman, good to see you again, and
Thank
it's
you,
always
Mayor.
good to see you in the district. So, hey, transportation is a really big problem. It's a really expensive problem. In our state, as you probably know, our legislature has been looking at some creative solutions to try to address the problem of more efficient vehicles, electric vehicles, not paying gas tax or as much gas tax, but still having to fund, infrastructure where more lane miles are being driven by all kinds of vehicles. So we're looking at things like a vehicle usage charge to try to fix the problem of diminishing revenues with the gas tax. My question really is Congress or T&I, are you guys looking at that problem, and do you have any ideas either for us or for the nation?
Absolutely. Yes, we are, Mayor. Not only not having the tax being paid in, but the weight of the cars on our roads, which is eroding a little bit faster. So it's definitely a conversation we're having. I would say this, and everybody's visited our office. You remember me saying, the thing you can do for us, my big ask, is think outside the box. If you have solutions, things that are really concerning here in Utah, that means it's something everywhere. We want to be innovative, and we will be as long as you come to us to let us know, here are issues we need to be dealing with. This is one that we are working through at this point. And if you'd like for me to figure out where we are in it, I can actually find out if we put together some legislation or not on it, or I believe we have. Because again, I know on the floor, we've kind of, in our committee, we've talked about this a little bit. But I can give you an update. Okay, Mayor, I'll give you an update on that. Okay.
Congressman, thank you. We'll call it quits with our questions right there, just to be respectful of time. I know we've got a meeting after this as well. So everyone, thank you for your questions and for being here today with us. Our next meeting is next Transcom, November 20th.
Can I just say before we leave, again, as I look around the room, thank you guys so much. It's been an interesting 3 terms, not only to get a chance to develop friendships here, but to really find out what our state's all about. I had no clue. I really did. I didn't know how good we were and how much we led and everything. So it's been an education for me. It's very easy to go back to DC and just brag about what you guys are doing. So keep it up. Let us know. We have a team. You guys know our motto, right? We cannot control the scoreboard. We can't control the hustle. So that's what my team is doing. We want to hustle big time. Just let us know what we need to get it done, okay?
Congressman, thank you so much. I have to just note, as you see Congressman Owens standing here in front of the U.S. flag and the Utah flag, he's also standing in front of our Wasatch Choice Vision, the plan, and he talks about bragging about Utah and how well we collaborate together. Well, if you've been in Congressman Owens' office, you've seen he's hanging. It's a smaller version, but a version of that poster is hanging in his office. So
Andrew and I think delivered that to him.
we did.
There you go, man.
We did. So, Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, folks.
Appreciate it.
We need a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.